Here we go. Welcome, everybody. I'm super excited to talk about our topic tonight, the loyalty rewards program and really capturing the value of it. I will just tell you that my teaching piece of this conversation is coming from a place of like, this is a skill that I've had to up level and grow in as we go, because this isn't something that comes naturally to me. If you know much about my journey with Doterra, you know that I have classically been really good at enrolling, but getting people on LRP has not always been like the natural thing for me. If you've heard Melissa talk about LRP, she was my first enrollment ever. She had to teach herself about LRP because I never taught her. I didn't do a wellness consult. I didn't do any of that stuff. And part of that was because I didn't have a lot of strategy in my business back then. I was doing a lot of hauling buckets. But it was also because it was just like not my natural skill set. So I'm so excited about the stuff that we're going to share tonight because it's really helped empower me and given me new energy for my wellness consults.
Yeah. And if you're on this call, likely, by show of hands, maybe, you likely love LRP. Like, even if you did not earn a dime from Doterra, you probably are in love with the loyalty rewards program because of all of the free stuff we get, right? So tonight we're gonna, like, we all know how awesome it is, but we're gonna try to focus on some practicals, some verbiage, language, some system things, a lot of practicals, some mindset things as well, but we're gonna talk through both to hopefully help us to communicate the value of LRP with the people that we're working with.
Yeah. So the first thing that we have to talk about is really our role and what our piece is in this process as we introduce people to Doterra. Really, I think we all would agree with this statement that we've never lived in, like people in general have never lived in a time with greater access to information and tools to like actually live a long and healthy life. And but like, obviously there's a lot of confusion and overwhelm within that. Can everybody make sure to mute your lines? That would be really awesome. Thank you so much. So it can be really overwhelming. And I would say that in my own experience, as I've worked with people, half of my job is simplifying things for them and helping them see health as something that's more accessible. And that's one of my favorite pieces of essential oils is it's such a small little shift that really can create ripples in people's day-to-day. But really it comes down to us, our role as a wellness advocate is that we get the opportunity and privilege to really teach people and empower them and connect with what they need and then help them to build a roadmap to get to the destination that they want to. And in my experience, it's like a more top heavy job, meaning like in my head, I know that the first 90 days, I'm going to spend more time working with my customers or my wellness advocates and helping teach them. And after that period, a lot of times people, they start learning the resources that they can go to. They start learning more how to process and like figure out what would be the next step for them. And they really become more self-sufficient. But those first 60 to 90 days are really important. Mm-hmm. So as we think about that, I think it's really helpful to keep a few things in mind. Number one, I'm sure other people will relate with this statement. How you feel about yourself and what you have to offer is going to impact how you connect with people. And so when you're getting ready to spend time doing like contact work and reaching out to people, it's really important to make sure that your mindset is in the right space. And I've done this wrong a lot of days. So I just encourage you, if you're in like feeling in a funk, maybe do something small, like just like do 10 burpees or get your diffuser going, take some deep breaths, like recognize why you're feeling like you're in a funk and then address that. And also something that's really helped me is I try to focus in a lot on really how I've helped people in the past. Because when I've come from a space where I have that vision of the ripples that my time reaching out will do for people, that really like gets me envisioned and excited and inspired. And I think the obvious thing is like this becomes a positive cycle. Like you can't be confident of what you have to offer until you actually step in and do the work. So once you've done like 10, 20, 30, 40 wellness consults, you start seeing the ripples that come from how you've empowered people. And that's going to make you feel better about the value that you have and make you want to do it more. So it really is a both and. You can't just flip your mindset. You have to get into action too. It has to be both and partnering those together. So really, when you feel the nudge to reach out to someone, I encourage you to do it as soon as possible. And because really it comes from a genuine space, and this doesn't always work out depending on what the flow of your days looks like. But for instance, today the toothpaste came back in stock, and woo, and I thought immediately of a woman that I know is very interested in the toothpaste. She hasn't gotten it yet, but she's really excited to get it. So I just sent her a quick text. It wasn't technically my time for taking care of customers, but I thought of her and I was like, oh, I want to make sure that I reach out to her. So make sure to follow those nudges. The third thing is, this is just like a common sales principle. And we're going to talk a little bit, Tyler's going to share a lot more numbers tonight as we talk about LRP, but really the truth is 48% of people never reconnect with a contact. And I have contributed to that sort of a stat in what I shared with you guys in how I first initially started my business. I was hauling buckets. I enrolled a lot of people my first year, but I didn't continue to reconnect with those people. And so they just bought a kit and they had pretty little doTERRA bottles sitting around that they knew nothing to do with. And granted, they could have looked things up, but it would have been a lot better if I did my job and took care of them and helped them become more empowered. So this sales stat is normally shared when we think about enrollments, right? That 80% of sales are made after at least 5 connections. And I think that's true, of course. But I think we have to kind of flip our mindsets and start thinking not just about enrollments, but also a second enrollment. And we would call that your wellness consult when you approach the second enrollment, which would be getting your customer on the loyalty rewards program. And again, like reminding yourself and coming back to the heart of it, which is your customer wants to be guided confidently by you, and they want you to help them solve their problem. Like they want that. And so a wellness consult offers so much value to them and really supports them in the ways that they want.
Yeah. So on the surface, it's really obvious why we want LRP, right? But I want to dig into it a little bit more because it really is the lifeblood of our business. When we talk about residual income with doTERRA, the only way we get that is through LRP. So here's just some like quick tidbits of like why LRP for your business. And then after we go through a few of these scenarios, we'll talk about why LRP for the customer. So it's how you build month to month. And if you have no LRPs, which we'll look at a scenario in a second, you're starting over at 0 every single month. And when you get LRPs, it is amazing, right? You don't have to come up with all of your volume every single month. For example, having just one customer on 100 PV LRP over the course of a year, so that's 1200 PV, right? That's the equivalent of, in volume, the equivalent of 8 enrollments. The average enrollment size is 150 PV. So if you take that 1200 PV divided by 8, or divided by 150, you get 8. Like, how much time do you spend to get 8 enrollments? And if you can help one customer, one already enrolled customer, switch over a bunch of their stuff to buy from doTERRA, and they're ordering 100 PV every month, like that's a huge deal, and it's worth a lot of our time and a lot of our attention. I wish there was, like, in our back office, you look at the dashboard and you see like enrollments. I wish there was like highlighted right in the middle. I might ask doTERRA to do this. Like 100 PV LRPs, like that would be a really great thing to track. But we can do that, right? This is also just a common sales stat. Getting a new customer is 7 times more expensive, takes more energy, takes more time to get a new customer compared to a repeat or like a resale of an existing customer. So I know that a lot of times we're focusing on enrollments, which are important, but tonight we're focusing on LRP. Like, just to emphasize how big of a deal it is. And again, 65% retention rate. But if our customers don't know how to log in, how to buy, they don't know all the perks of the LRP, they don't know what to buy and how it would benefit them, like they don't know the value, then that 65% retention rate is not going to happen. So this is just a scenario. I'm not going to talk all the way through this, but it's basically 5 months of somebody enrolling a lot of people. But if there are no LRPs, like if we don't do the work of wellness consults and helping people actually change their habits and setting up LRP, 5 months later and enrolling 46 people, still not elite, which is like really sad.
That's probably what I did.
But it probably is actually, but it's a possibility. Like it's not impossible. And it's probably, I mean, 46 is a lot, but it's hauling buckets. If we're just enrolling people, but not helping them set up LRP, it's hauling buckets. As opposed to this scenario with a lot fewer enrollments, 28 enrollments, and about 50% of those getting on LRP is elite in 3 months, which is great.
With 28 enrollments.
Right, a lot fewer.
Yeah.
Okay, so for customers, there are so many reasons, but these are just 3 of the big ones. So illness, we like through the Ditch and Switch series that we did in January, we tried to emphasize like how important it is to switch out toxic products for natural products, right? And it's a more difficult value proposition, because if you're using a toxic product, unless you have some kind of an allergic reaction, you're not going to realize the detriment of that product right away. But it's building up in our bodies what's called the toxic load, right? And eventually we start to see symptoms, we start to see systems in our bodies shut down, organs not working properly, like all kinds of things, right? So disease, like chronic disease, is built up over time. And the same is true with health. The state of our bodies are the result of the choices that we make over the course of months and years. It's not like a immediate thing. We all know that, right? And we all know, at least on a theoretical level, to get a different result, even if that result is 10 or 20 years down the road, we need to do different things now. We need to create new habits. And LRP is an amazing program that Doterra offers to reward us for investing in making those healthier choices. So we're gonna talk about more practicals. So this is kind of the mindset behind it. LRP is how you change your customers' lives, because if you're helping them change those daily habits, they're going to see much better health outcomes. They're going to see much higher vitality. They're going to have less sick days. Their kids are going to be healthier. Like everything in their life is going to be better, but we have to help them see that and help them change their habits. And it saves money, which we're going to talk about here. So this is not a very pretty chart. I just made this in Excel, but
classic Tyler, bringing all the numbers.
And then I just screenshotted it and put it in here.
If you guys only knew how many screenshots I've seen, or Excel documents that I've seen in my day. This guy's really good at making Excel.
I don't even share them all with her. So this is just in 4 categories, and this is like for like family type numbers. This is not an individual family. 4 different categories. What Americans spend in a year on average in these categories, which this one really threw me off, but I don't know. That's a lot.
Well, you just have to remember, I think facial care could potentially include Botox. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
And
then these are the Doterra equivalent of, and I could share all of the like how many, how often. I didn't have space to put that on here, but the Doterra equivalents of those in each of those categories literally saves money. Like,
And they're not even DIYs. This is like
this is like
actually buying doTERRA products. This is not DIY.
like Virage every 2 months, plus 3 or more telos over the course of a year, plus 2 HD rollers. I got really specific there, but I didn't get specific here because that would take a lot of time. But like all of these, the liter bottles of shampoo and conditioner, the deodorant, the toothpaste, bar soap, like just switching over all the personal hygiene, all the facial care, over-the-counter medications, cleaning stuff, literally saves money just by doing it through doTERRA. For instance, like especially the On Guard cleaner concentrate is like money saver. Everyone knows that, right? Lemon oil, money saver.
Yeah.
So literally saves $1,400, saves time. I found this stat. The average American makes 26 trips per year to purchase over-the-counter medications. That's a lot of trips. Once every 2 weeks. And so what this equates to is a savings of $1,400. And it's about spending $150 a month with doTERRA. And that doesn't even include points back, the loyalty program. So this is like, this back here is just buying the stuff, saving money, having it come to your door, saving time as well. And then this is rewards points, right? You start at 10% back. We all know this. 10% back, 15% back, 20% back, 25% back. So in your first year, based on 150 PV LRPs over the course of a year, you will get 363 about points, including shipping points.
For the cheapest shipping, $3.99.
So that is the first year, right? But then year 2 plus 2 and forever, you're at 30% back for the rest of your membership, right? So that is about almost $600, $588 with loyalty points and shipping points back at 30% every year, $588 back. And that's in addition to this savings. It's mind blowing. And like we said, you're buying healthier products, like therapeutic, beneficial products for you and your family, which is kind of mind blowing to me.
So we're going to talk about some practical tidbits now. And for all of my, like,
there's a lot on here.
people, yeah, there's a lot on here. So don't read it all at once. For all of the leaders that have been around for a while, or any of you, feel free to share any like helpful one-liners that you do within your wellness consult. But these are just some helpful ones that we put all together. So number one, explain it in this way is really helpful. Because you're a wholesale customer, you are getting doTERRA at the best price, but the loyalty program is how you can earn things for free. So that's like a really easy little like 2-sentence statement to be able to explain and introduce the loyalty program when you are meeting with your wholesale customer at the wellness consult. So the second thing would be doTERRA's rewards program is better than any other companies that I've found. And we'll talk about that more in a second. 3, there's only one requirement to be on the loyalty rewards program. You have to purchase one item that's worth 1 PV or more each month. And then it's important to explain to them that PV is doTERRA's currency. It's equal across all the markets all around the world. And usually oils are 1 PV equals $1 about. And then to explain the rewards, this is the part for everybody. Like if you're new, this is such a learning curve, but this is where like practicing this until it gets to become automatic is really important, because this part, oftentimes for most people, if you've not been in sales before, this is the most uncomfortable part of the wellness consult. And so when you really like learn these lines well, it helps you to focus on the person in front of you instead of thinking about what you're saying.
And it's also helpful to have like, and I know there's one in the Live Guide, but just to have like a little sheet or something that shows like months 1 to 3, 10% back, 4 to 6, 15% back. And like to help people see like, okay, there's like growth here. I see like where we're going.
So I actually, at this point in my wellness consults, I actually pull up my own account and I show them my loyalty order And then I walk through these benefits with them. So I will show them that they get their shipping reimbursed in points on every order. And I show them that on my screen. And if I am doing this virtually, which most of the time I personally am, so I pull up Zoom and we're on Zoom and I share my screen to show them my loyalty order. Then the second thing I show them is that, and this is the part where I pull up the live guide to show them something visually. This is where I talk about how you earn additional points back for every order that's at least 50 PV. So I show them where to look to see how many PV their order is. And then I flip to the live guide and I show them you start at 10% back, and after 3 months, then you go up to 15. And then after 3 more months, you keep going up until you're at 30% back after a year. And then the third thing I say is if you order 125 PV between the 1st and the 15th of the month, you're going to earn the product of the month for free. And then I'll say, for example, this month, January, was Tea Tree Touch, which is tea tree in a diluted roller bottle. It's great to use for rashes. I tell them what it's for. And then I explain. So it's really fun because the months that you see the product of the month and you're like, oh, I want that. Or, oh, that's a perfect gift. I want to give that to like the next person that has a baby shower that I get invited to. I'm definitely giving them Tea Tree Touch because it's great for diaper rash or whatever. Like you can give them ideas on how you use the product of the month. And then lastly, I talk about how we have switched to buy so many of our household products through Doterra, and we get tons of points back each month. And so I share how for us, it really wasn't a matter of spending additional money on Doterra. We just took money we were buying in other parts of our budget and reallocated it to start buying those things through Doterra. And now we basically get all of our oils for free because we get our supplements and our like non-toxic products, all those things through Doterra. So then I show them, so we're at 30% back. So you can see on this order, I'm getting this many points for free. And up here, you see my bank, I have 150 points. Isn't it awesome? And I like show them the visual of all of this. And then the last thing that's important to let them know is that you can customize your order every month and you can also cancel it at any time if that's what you need. And then a lot of times you can continue, and I'll tell people, I encourage people not to cancel it because you want to maintain your points. And so if it's a month where you don't need anything, just get like a chapstick or a wild orange. But if you absolutely have to cancel it, of course you can. So those are like the most essential things when it comes to actually talking about LRP that you want to make sure you walk through with people. So then on a broader scope, when we talk about like the actual flow of the wellness consult, number one, you have to remember you always want to have a wellness consult whenever it's possible. And if you struggle to make these happen, you have to try something different. And I tell you that again from experience, because there was a time when I didn't always set up wellness consults. And then I would start enrolling people and I would text them after I enrolled them, like maybe a week later, 2 weeks later, and I would try to set up a time. And for me, that wasn't working. So that's why I share what's working for me right now is that when I enroll somebody either in person or on the phone, I immediately schedule a wellness consult with them because I've just found that when I schedule it immediately, number one, it saves me a lot of time. I hate the back and forth between texting to try to line up appropriate time. And it's so much easier to do it while you're on the phone. And then number two, from my experience, when I do it while they're still on the phone, it's almost like it in the moment, they're like, oh, okay, I'm spending all this money, but Kristen's going to make sure that I use this stuff. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, just think about if it was you're in that seat. It's like you're buying all these things and you're still learning so much and you don't know how to use it all. It is like an immediate relief to buyer's remorse, in my opinion. When they don't have a plan for the next thing that they're going to learn from, a lot of times they're sitting there questioning themselves, like, am I actually going to use these? But if they know that they have a time scheduled with you for you to show them how to get started, it like relieves that. And then the third tip is I personally tell them that even if I'm doing it virtually, I'll say, after we have your wellness consult, I'm going to send you a free welcome gift. And I will usually mail it, or if I meet with them in person, I take it with them there. And the welcome gift really can be anything. It's up to you and how you want to invest in your business. But in my experience, one of the best things is depending on what kit they got started with, I like to gift them things they didn't get in their kit. So like a sample of Deep Blue Rub, a sample of Slim and Sassy Gum, some of the throat drops, a sample of the toothpaste or the shampoo and conditioner. And if you want, on the Wellness Leaders page under the units, there's actually a whole post that's all about what I do for welcome gifts, and it kind of breaks down the cost so you can personalize it more to you if you don't want to do it exactly like how I do. The next thing is to focus on their wellness, not their money. And I think a lot of this, again, we talked about like our own brain, our own thoughts a lot of times gets in our way in these things. And so this is why it's important to think about their wellness, not their money. Let them make the decisions about their money. You are supporting them and recommending things for them in their wellness. The fourth thing is you want to assume LRP, and hopefully you guys are all feeling more confident in this area, because when you have belief in why the LRP program is going to be the best thing for them, it helps you to assume LRP. It helps you to assume, like, of course, if you're wanting to get started with oils, you are interested in your health, you want to invest more, and I'm going to help you on that path. And LRP is a part of that. 5, remember you have the cookie. And what I mean by that is like, you have the value, like you have all the time that you have spent learning about wellness, about essential oils, like you know how to find answers. Even if you don't immediately know the answer when they ask you, you know how to find it for them. Like you have the cookie, you have the value for them. And so remember that, like when you go in there, that you are gifting them your time. That's part of what doTERRA pays you for. And like you are giving them a gift. 6, teach money saving tips. And we're going to talk about that more in depth. And then 7, to make sure you talk about gut health and nutrition. And really, I think initially when people get into essential oils, they're not thinking along these lines. They're thinking more about essential oils, and that's all they're thinking about. But in my experience, most of the time, people just don't know that doTERRA has gut health and nutrition products. I mean, not everybody, but most of the people that I work with, they're already doing something. They might be doing Costco supplements or supplements from who knows where, but they're doing something to try to be intentional, usually around their gut health and nutrition. And so really just teaching them more in depth, offering more value in this area, and then showing them what doTERRA has to offer is a really big deal. And the last thing I'll say, if you don't feel confident in this area, then this is an area that you can invest in yourself, lead yourself first to be able to lead others into this area. So if you haven't been doing wellness consults, it's not too late. You can still hit your goal, even if you're not doing wellness consults. Remember, I wasn't doing them in the beginning, at least for the first year.
That's horrible.
It's really bad. So you just have to remember that the success rate is obviously going to be lower. So your expectations around actually having a wellness consult with someone, like, don't like assume like, oh, I'm going to start doing them now and everybody's going to want to do them. That just probably won't happen. People lose their excitement after their initial purchase. But there are ways that you can creatively offer value to people in a way that communicates your goal to serve them, that you can still get them re-envisioned and re-engaged in using doTERRA to support their wellness. So number 1 is you can offer to give a wellness consult with a promo or incentive. And so, I mean, for me personally, I am I'm technically a wellness coach, but I haven't been practicing for a long time. And so when I am like trying to re-engage someone, for instance, I actually did this last week. This actually fits, I guess, more under number 2. I reached out to her because she's had a baby since she originally enrolled. And I said, hey, we're having an essential oil class for mamas, and I thought of you. I think you'd really love the class. Do you want to come? And she came and she was at the class. And then I reconnected with her afterwards. And I said, like, hey, if you're needing anything that you've run out of, or you're needing to repurchase anything, just let me know, because I'd be happy to get together so you like get acquainted with how to use your account. Because she purchased a kit and then she never purchased again. So now we have a one-on-one scheduled for next week where we're going to meet up and she wants to place an order. So I'm going to do more of a wellness consult during that time. And I let her know that, because she's reactivating, there's free stuff that she qualifies for that she can get with a purchase. And I said I'd walk that through with her. So those are just like very simple things. It can, for me, the easiest way is to re-engage them with some sort of education that I know hits maybe a pain point for them or like a season of life that they need. And I focus on that. And other ways are like when BOGOs come around, that's a big promotion, obviously. And so that's a great time to reach out to people that haven't ordered in a long time and see if they're interested in getting any of the BOGO deals. And that's a great way to use that time to then reconnect with them and guide them through the process of ordering on their account, help serve them with like value or tips. So for instance, right now with the Yaropalm BOGO, I actually had a customer reach out to me that was asking about it. And then I started sending her some recipes with Yaropalm because she was kind of on the line. She like didn't know if she was going to buy Yaropalm yet. And I sent her some recipes and she's like, thank you, Kristen. This is so amazing. You're such a wealth of knowledge. And it was like, you know, not even a minute of my time that I spent helping her. So education, value, incentives, those are the best times to reach out to people to re-engage them. And the third thing is be genuine. Like if you're just wanting to do a broad reach out to everybody on your team, if you haven't been doing wellness consults, just be honest and apologize to them for not offering this in the past and say like, hey, I just want to make sure you know how to use the oils you bought. Can we get together? I'd love to walk you through goals or not goals, walk through your health goals with you and give you a plan of action for how to start using your oils to see results with them. And that also can lead to some awesome connection and make a different path for them in the future. So really a blueprint for an effective wellness consult. This is kind of the flow that I follow is number one, I start with entirely focusing on them and I'll say, hey, so I know we've talked a lot about, for instance, my most recent one, I know we've talked a lot about hot flashes and you got some stuff to support you in hot flashes. Can you remind me, what are your other health goals that you're working on right now? And she told me, I wrote them down. And then we went through specific protocols for her to start using right away, or for her to start using her products right away towards those health goals. And then as I neared the end of going through what I would suggest, I started pulling up resources. So whether you're in person or on Zoom, I will pull up the Facebook group and I start showing her some of the files that she might really like, that are all about hormones. I showed her actually how to search in the LDC Facebook group, how to search hot flash. And even though we had already talked about what she was going to do first for her hot flashes, I pulled up that in the group and then she saw all the other suggestions. So I said, if you're not seeing results initially, you can kind of peruse through these different things of what other people have done and you could try those things out too. And I reminded her that essential oils aren't always one size fits all. And we talked about that. But really in this area, I'm wanting to connect them with their next step to learning. So this is also a great time to bring up continuing education and what you're currently offering for your team. So whether that's something like you're sending out love oils and you tell them about love oils and you say, hey, when you finish this, I'd love to give you my free custom perfume signature scent, whatever it is. But you give them a gift for engaging in learning. Or when continuing ed is happening on Zoom, you tell them about what's going on and say, if you come to 8 of these classes, then you can actually get a free diffuser. But your goal is to plug them in then to the next way that they're going to learn. Then you're going to walk through the loyalty rewards program, show them how to log into their account. You're going to show them the live guide and then the LRP guide to help them make a plan for the next 3 months of orders. So we're going to talk about this in a second. And then we actually missed a step here. So at the very end, I will talk about how I always gift an essential life book to anybody that places a 100 PV LRP in their second month. And the reason I do this is because I know if they place a 100 PV loyalty rewards order in their second month, I'm automatically going to get $20 worth of Fast Start, which easily pays for the Essential Life book that I'm going to gift them. So basically, I'm taking the money Doterra is going to pay me and I'm investing it back into my customer. And the reason I do that is because I want them to be looking up things in that resource before they text me. It's a form of outsourcing. I want to empower them. I still want them to text me and ask me questions, and I encourage them to do so. But I'm sure they're just like me, and there's sometimes they don't want to sit around and wait for my text all day. They want something immediately. So the Essential Life book is so empowering for customers, and that's why I want them to have it. And then the last thing is I will give them a expectation, number one, for what my communication is going to look like in the future. So for me, I let them know, hey, whenever I have an awesome class coming up that I think you'd be interested in, I'll text you about it. So I'll be in touch. I'll let you know if there's any awesome promos that you should for sure know about, like BOGOs or something like that. But I just wanted to let you know to expect that from me. I'll text you every once in a while. And then I also tell them, I know there's going to be a point where you are obviously using peppermint or clary calm for your hot flashes. You're seeing awesome results. And then your friend talks about having a hot flash. I just want you to know at that point, if you want to help your friend get doTERRA, I will support you in helping them. And I can show you how to share with your friends and earn money to pay for your product. Or if you don't want to do that, if you have no interest in the business, you can obviously refer them to me, and I always give referral gifts. Or if you're interested in hosting a class, I would love that. I always give free hostess gifts, and I plug that in their brain as a seed for later that I can follow up with. So a few more helpful statements to make sure that you remember is it's really important to have questions where you can really hear where they're at. Otherwise, a wellness consult becomes a lot of you talking at them, and then you don't actually know what they want moving forward. And so having questions like, after you've talked through LRP, saying, can I help you set this up now? You can always edit it. That's a great question to ask, because they might say no. And in that case, you're like, oh, no problem. Just let me know. Like, if you're interested in down the line, I'm happy to help you with that process. You're offering them a service and showing them how to do it. And I will just tell you, I've had many a times asking people this question where they're like, oh, please, that would be so great if you could help me, because they're overwhelmed. Like, they're like, yeah, I want to do that, but like, yeah, that's a lot of new things to learn. And so that is a service you can offer, and they can always say no. And then you're like, oh, no problem. I can help you whenever. But you have to know where they're at to know how to serve them best. Also saying the phrase, these are some of the most common products my customers love, or sharing testimonies about specific ones you're talking with them about. Asking the question, will you give these products a try for 3 months? After that point, I'd love to reconnect with you and hear about all the results you're seeing. If you aren't liking it, I'll help you cancel. This will make more sense after we talk about one of the tools we've been using. And then lastly, what date would you like your LRP to shift or ship?
It's not necessarily about like these specific
Yeah.
questions, although these are good ones. It's about like asking a question that moves the conversation forward towards them changing their habits towards LRP.
Yeah.
And it really just like gets things out on the table. Like, hey, can I help you get this set up right now? I know you're going to love it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I share some of the products my customers absolutely love, and you can decide which ones you want to get? Like those kinds of questions, like they just kind of like cut through all the other stuff to like get to the meat of change, which is why they're reaching out to you in the first place.
Yep. So money saving strategies that are helpful to teach people. In my experience, I'm being entirely honest, I don't feel like I can fit all of this in a wellness consult. At least I haven't mastered it yet. But these are things I just want all of you guys to have in your minds. So as you're serving your customers, these are things that you can share with them. But I think teaching these really empowers people, because they don't know what they don't know. And the reality is, we all know as wellness advocates that BOGO months come sometimes, and we know those are great times to strategically stock up on oils. Like, we go through a bottle of Serenity about every 2 months. So for a whole year, that's 6 bottles of Serenity. So we know when there's a BOGO that includes Serenity, you better betcha we're getting the top number of Serenity BOGOs that we can, because it saves money for the entire year. Then we have our stock of Serenity for the year, and we got a free oil in doing it. Plus, we earned points back through the loyalty program. So really, these are just like financial savvy tips. And I will tell you, this is just another way to offer value to your customers, and it builds trust. It helps them know that when they come to you, you're going to help them not only in their health, but you're also going to help them save money, and you're going to give them the best tips on how to do that. So number one, teaching your customers that your monthly loyalty order should really be focused on your nutritional products, and then consumables, meaning like things like cleaners and hygiene products, stuff that they would already be purchasing month to month in their normal budget. And then they're going to stock up on oils during BOGO months or during 200 PV promo months. And then 3, the wellness kits are huge, huge discounts. And so either the wellness kits or honestly Lifelong Vitality Pack, the skincare kits, they all have add-on options. So it's like in the kits themselves, you're saving money, but when you do add-ons, you're saving even more money. So that's another option to help people really maximize the savings on their customer account. And I think these might actually be fun things to incorporate moving forward in some of our continuing ed classes in different forms, whether you do that on social media or on our Zoom continuing eds. There's so many ways to teach your customers these sorts of things. So the last thing I want to talk about is tools to use during your wellness consults. And I recognize that if you are newer as a wellness as a wellness advocate, or even if you're not new, we've just like talked about a lot. And it might feel like, how the heck, Kristen, do you talk about this in an hour? And I will just encourage you that it takes practice. And if you need to prep more before your wellness consults in the beginning, that's okay. But over time, it will become a lot easier to do a wellness consult in an hour. And then also, I just found a recording that I think will be really supportive. It's of an actual wellness consult. And the person that did it, his name is Roger Webb. And he uses these exact tools and does his wellness consult in a very similar way to what I'm going to explain. A lot of the ideas that we just recently got that have helped us with our confidence in getting people on LRP actually came from a training of his. So I will post that in the Wellness Leaders page after we're done tonight with the recording from this call as well. But if you didn't already know, this lifestyle overview or the Live Guide is really helpful to use in your wellness consults. And there's a free download that you can get at doterra.com. So for me, when I'm doing my wellness consults virtually, I pull it up from the website, and then I email that to them also so they have it after the fact. And my favorite part about the Live Guide is that in the first couple pages, it actually has, on this side, it talks about the idea of self-directed health. And I love this because it gives me a pause to envision them in what I want for them, which is that I want them to be confident in learning to listen to their body when it whispers, and being empowered with tools that help them to support their bodies, to support their families' bodies. So they're not constantly feeling like they have to go to some other expert to tell them what to do, but instead for the little things on the day-to-day. Obviously, I always say there's a time and place for medicine, but there's so many instances where natural tools can help us in living a more self-directed approach to our health. And then there's the doTERRA Wellness Pyramid, which is so awesome. And I tell people during my consult, I'll just tell them, I'd love for you to go ahead and jot this down on a piece of paper. Just score yourself 0 to 10 in all these areas. And you don't have to tell me your answer unless you want to, but really, I just want you to see the area that you're maybe not doing the best in. And then you can use this Live Guide to direct you to products that will support you in that area. And almost like 9 times out of 10, people's lowest category is toxins. And so then I talk to them about how they can cut out toxins with doTERRA. But that's just a really helpful way to set the tone in the wellness consult. And then this, oh, guys, I'm so excited. So some of you guys have already seen this stuff. We found a training from Roger Webb showing this tool
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Well, that's when he recorded it.
Well, we found it probably like 6 months ago or so, and it took us a while to get around to watching it. And then actually a week ago on a training we attended, he retaught this same tool, and I used it in a wellness consult this week. And a lot of you probably heard my live on Facebook where I shared about the results that I found using this. It was incredible. And really what I can tell you is you guys can know all the things about why the loyalty program is so awesome. I know all the things. The loyalty program is so incredible. It changes lives. If people like actually dive into it, it will flip so many things in their health. But the problem is when you come into a wellness consult, the person on the other side of the table or the other side of the screen, they don't know what they don't know. So you have to find an effective way to not only teach them the framework of the loyalty program, but help them to buy in to why the loyalty program is going to help them and save them money and save them time and all the things. Because in their minds, of course, we've all felt this. We're like, they just spent a bunch of money. Why are they going to want to spend money again through the loyalty program? We've all felt that, right? I definitely feel that. Empathy is in my top 10 of my strength finders. So I always like feel their energy, and it makes the wellness consult process harder for me because I'm like, ooh, I know it's so awesome, but I can feel them. And so anyways, using this is such a game changer. So what I did was during the consult, I actually had my email pulled up and I already had this ready to send to her. So while we were in the consult, I sent it to her and I said, hey, are you able to print this off? You might need to print it off or have them print it off beforehand if you're doing everything online, or just bring it to them in person. But what I did was, and by the way, you can see on the screen, this is already under the LDC Facebook group under the files. So you guys can use this as much as you want. We already talked about how the average household in the US spends between $150 and $400 on all this stuff.
A month.
Yeah, per month. And what I explained in my wellness consult is that I believe that health, like health/wellness and financial health, can actually coincide. They can coexist. And this resource is really just a way for you to be able to see what I see and how doTERRA can support you, not just in your health, but also to help you save in the process. And so I had her sit it down and I just had her go ahead and I said, at the top, can you go ahead and just jot down some of the stores you currently buy like personal care, home care, and healthcare products at? She did that. And then I said, now write down like any loyalty programs those stores have. And she actually looked at me and she's like, oh, they don't have any. I was like, okay. And then next I had her go down to the different columns and I said to put an X next to any of the products her family, her and her husband currently use. And then in the box to the right, put approximately how much you spend on those products monthly. And I said, you might not remember exactly, but just an estimate. And so she went through and did that. And while she did it, I think I just like played some Spotify music. I just waited for her. That was the only awkward part, but the Spotify music helped a little bit. And then after she was done, she totaled them up on her phone and told me what the total was. And then I multiplied that by 10%, which that tells us, I said, so this shows you in your first month of the loyalty program, when you're earning only 10% back, this is like approximately how much you would be getting back if you ordered all of that from doTERRA in your first month. But after a year, of course, I told you you'll be at 30% back. And so when you take, her number was, I think like $450 or something like that. So it actually was on the high end of the average. This woman in particular already takes a lot of supplements, like a lot. Like the Lifelong Vitality Pack is going to save her so much money. And I told her that. And then I said, now we'll take that by 30%. And I showed her how much that she would be saving through the loyalty program. And she was like, wow, so you're saying doTERRA has equivalents of all these things? And I was like, yeah, they do. And she's like, wow, I had no idea. That's so incredible. And I said, yeah, it is. And then we were running out of time. So in this circumstance, I said, what I'd love for you to do after we're done meeting is write down a 1 next to the products that you're going to need to buy in the next 30 days. and then write a 2. And then I said, send me a picture of this. And then we'll meet again for like 20 minutes and I'll tell you what the doTERRA equivalents are. And I'm going to show her how to get onto the loyalty program. And actually, if she wants me to, I'll help her set it up. But my experience with this was just like mind blowing, because literally as we're going through it, she was like, wow, doTERRA has this stuff. Wow, you can, like, it's amazing that you give or that they give this much back in free points. And I was like, yes, exactly. You're seeing what I see. And during this process, if you listen to my live, she actually was like, it was so bizarre. I had actually talked to her about the business prior, briefly, when I was enrolling her. I was like, do you want to be a wholesale customer or a wellness advocate? A wellness advocate. I told her the difference. And she had said, oh, no, I just want to be a wholesale customer. I'm like, okay, great. So she had already told me that. During this portion, she's like, wow, this, I'm seeing like, this could be like my retirement plan. And I was like, where did that come from? But anyways, it was just such a powerful experience. And I recognize they're probably not all going to go like that. I think a couple of you have maybe used this addendum, this tool already. I would love to hear your experiences in the comments. But yeah, we thoroughly loved it. And I would love at this point, that's really all we had prepared for tonight. But I hope you guys feel as excited as I do about this. I'm like, it's incredible.
Life-changing sheet of paper.
Yes.
We're gonna go through questions.
Yeah, but I'd love to hear all y'all's questions.
You can put them in the chat or just unmute yourself to ask. Oh,
one thing I wanted to add was when you go through the process of them setting up their LRP, I think it can be something like, I can easily see this happening, and Roger Webb talks about this happening, where you start adding everything to their cart that they put down a 1 next to that they need in their first 30 days. And he said for him, almost every time people will say, oh, wow, that's a lot of money. And at that point, I think it's really important to remind people that normally when you get shampoo and conditioner, when you get toothpaste, when you get your detergent, you're like just like one-off purchasing these things. I mean, I don't really know many people that walk out of Target with less than $100 bill, but it really is truly like, yeah, Tyler does. That's why I don't go very much anymore, because my wellness box comes to my door. I just have to go there for toilet paper every once in a while when he doesn't go, or trash bags.
Toilet paper and trash bags.
Anyways, so I think just reminding them at that point of saying something along the lines of, yeah, like normally when we purchase these things, we're just purchasing them randomly, and all those little charges build up over time. And then I had shared that line earlier of reminding them, if you decide to do this for 90 days, I want to follow up with you again, and I want to see how you're doing. And if at that point you're like, no, I don't want to do it anymore, of course, I'll help you cancel. But I really think you'll start experiencing the power of these doTERRA tools and how they help you transition out of using toxins, see new results in your health, and how much you're going to save over the course of time. And you're going to be thrilled. Okay, so now back to questions. So Jeff had asked about using Hit 'em Up for BOGOs. I absolutely do. I use Hit 'em Up for so many things. I think if you had the option to make things more relational, I mean, I'd love other leaders to share, but if you have the option to make things relational, I think that's great. But for me, it's like, it ends up being a lot of people that you have to reach out to. So I think having a text that you can send out that has some form of question or some way that you can get them to engage back and let you know, like, whether it's like, hey, do you need any help ordering, or like asking them some sort of question so you know how you can then connect with them if they need that, then that opens up more opportunity to be relational. So I am relational when it ends up like when people reach out to me with questions, when they like text me back, then that's where I normally get the opportunity to be more relational.
How would you, so Andy asked.
Yeah.
So Andy, you got a comment once from somebody that said that they were dreading meeting with you. I'm curious what you told them about to expect from that meeting, and with that feedback, how has it shifted the way you communicate the wellness consult?
She was finding her vitamins far too cumbersome. And it was just what you said.
Yeah.
I want to just visit with you once you have your stuff so we can go through what you ordered, so I can make sure you understand how to use it so that you're using it and it's not just sitting in the shelf. And so, yeah, as soon as she answered the phone, that was the first thing she said. She said, I've been dreading this. I knew that you were going to call. So, but she's also the one today that asked me to order a toothpaste on Facebook. So that's customer. But it has shifted my mentality when I'm talking to people about the wellness consult, that this is for your benefit. This is something that I want to do for you so that you know how to use your stuff, that you understand the benefits for your wellness, so that you're understanding what you're spending is worth investing in your health, and just more of like a relationship rather than just product based, I guess, maybe is the shift that taught me to move towards.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm curious, did you schedule the wellness consult when you enrolled her, or was it afterwards?
When I enrolled her, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's just a difficult customer.
I
don't think that's normal.
Yeah, totally. Yes. Londa, the story of my life, she said, I wish I had that document for my wellness consult last week. I'm like, I wish I would have had it for the last like 6 years, 5 years, whatever. Seriously. I actually am like trying to get creative around how I can re-engage with certain people. And when I re-engage with them, I think I'm going to ask them for permission and just like say, hey, I feel like at the beginning, I didn't have a way to explain to you how we save money through Doterra on our wellness.
And Doterra's come out with a lot of stuff since we enrolled.
Like the protein and the green, I'm like, ugh, it's crazy. People are buying that stuff. And so anyways, I think for people, like when those opportunities come up, it's so worthwhile to revisit the idea of like going through even just this document with them. Because again, when you come at it with the heart of, I want to show you how to save money, I think people, I mean, they will be thankful. You're offering them value. They don't know what they don't know. So Sandy, I'll share the Roger Webb recording on the Wellness Leaders page after we're done. And then, yeah, Londa. Okay, so I kind of just answered this question. I mean, I don't think it's bad to like tell someone, hey, I know we met last week. It was so fun to meet with you. I'd love to follow up with you in 2 weeks and see how you're doing with the protocols that we went over. And I'd love to talk with you a little bit more about how you can save money through Doterra on your wellness or something like that. I think there's definitely room to create another opportunity to connect with them and go through this. Oh, Ani, answer the question. Sorry. Do you want to share more on this?
Yeah, I can share the
quick
sheet.
Share screen again.
There's nothing.
Oh, did you exit out of it? Oh. This is what you're referring to, Ani,
like
right?
More details.
I think this is what she was talking about.
Take a screenshot.
I'm wondering if she's still by her computer.
Yes, I'm still here. Thank you.
Oh, okay, cool. So you were wondering more details on this?
Yeah, I just wanted to take a picture of that because I think money talks to people who just need to see what an investment it really is, and that actually it's not even an investment. It's actually a cost savings to invest in your health. So
I was the OTC king back in the day. It was bad. I got made fun of by people because I like carried a pharmacy with me. This is no good. I was on the high end of that range.
And then I always think like for I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that thinks like this, but doTERRA has saved me so much time in random little trips, in buying from all the different shops. Like I used to buy on these websites online and then get this from Target and get this from here. And then it's like, I don't know how I would have done all those trips now at this season of life. But yeah, it definitely does save a lot of time. And okay, so the last thing that I just thought of as Andi was talking is I do think it's really important to have your own like your own story to share with your customer as you're doing a wellness consult. And what I mean by that is, like, for me, when I talk through cutting out toxins, I will either share more about my own journey with my hormones and how learning how to cut out toxins and rebalance my hormones helped me to no longer fear that I was going to really struggle with fertility. Or I'll share about Tyler and his own journey with autoimmunity and how 1 in 5 people are diagnosed with autoimmune conditions now. And these are lifestyle diseases, and toxins are one of the main contributors to diagnoses like that. And I will talk about how, like, I'm reading this book right now. Jeff recommended it, called Atomic Habits. It's so good. I'm listening to it on Audible, and they talk about how just like these tiny little shifts are really what makes the biggest impact in our lives in the long term, or even over the course of the year. So having things like that to share with your customer, and say, like, imagine if you spend the next year gradually shifting out all of your toxin products or toxic products, and then next year you don't have any of those things in your home anymore. Imagine what that will do for you. Imagine what that will do with your kids. Having ways to, like, not like just take this information and then make it personal and land the plane for them is really, really powerful and really important. And those are things that just come with time. Sandy, the book it's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Such good questions.
Good to see you all.
I hope this is really empowering. I know for me it was. Like I said, I'll share the recording from this, and then I'll also share the recording from Roger Webb on the Wellness Leaders page. Yeah. Proud of you all doing the work, serving your people, making ripples.
Have a good night.
Yeah. Night, y'all.